Hello and welcome back to Ecstasy Crafts Free Project. I'm Katarina and today we'll be working on a Penguin Easel Card. We'll be using a couple of products from the Marianne Collectables. We'll use the Penguin die set and the Snow Globe die set and this beautiful paper pack that comes in several different colors from the Marianne Design as well. I just love all these patterns that you can use for any Christmas cards that you're making. So let's get started here. What we're going to do first is cut out all the pieces we need to assemble our card. Using the Snow Globe die set, we're going to use the largest and the second largest circles to cut out all these pieces that we need to assemble our beautiful Penguin Easel Card. So here I will show you how to set up your die cutting machine to cut your base for the easel card. What you're going to want to do is take a piece of cardstock, fold it in half, use your bone folder to get a nice, clean, crisp fold. You're going to place your die over the folded part of your paper, leaving about a ½ inch or so hanging off the edge, like so. Set that up and then run that through your die cutting machine. Now keep in mind you can do this with any die set that you have, as long as you just have the part of the die hanging off the folded part of your paper. That way you'll have a hinged card. There we go. So the next step is to cut out the pattern paper that will go behind. So I have one piece for the top of the card, and the smaller piece will be for the inside of the card. And I just used the second largest to do the inside of the pattern paper for the inside of the card. Now I'm going to cut out all the pieces for my penguins, which I've done ahead of time. You just want to choose the colors you want. You don't always have to do black and white penguin. You can always do pink or blue, whatever you like. But I just chose the traditional black and white colors for my penguins. So we're just going to speed up the video here and assemble all these assemble these two penguins. Alright, so now that we have our penguins all assembled, we're going to go ahead and assemble the card. So we'll start with the backing. I'm just going to put some glue on here and adhere. I'm going to actually use tape, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, because I know this BC tape is a really strong adhesive, so I won't have to worry about anything falling off. So I'm just going to put a couple of pieces behind here, and I'm going to attach the pattern paper to the background where I'll be putting my penguins on top. So just peel the backing off, and I'm going to line up the two circles and just adhere them together. So the next step here is to make the window for your shaker card. I forgot to mention, this is also a shaker easel card, so it just adds that little bit of dimension to your card. So I'm just going to take the second largest circle from the die set, trace it on my acetate, and cut it out with scissors. Now if you don't have acetate, you could always use any kind of plastic, see-through plastic that you have at home. Sometimes you get die sets that come in the hard plastic. You can absolutely use that. I just have the acetate on hand and I like to use this for my shaker card. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that circle out. I'm going to put some glue on the frame that I created using the largest and the second largest circle from the snow globe die set. And I'm going to glue my acetate onto that. And that will be the front of your shaker card. Now, if you have any excess acetate or plastic showing through, just go ahead and trim that around the edges. And we're just going to press that firmly down and make sure that it's all stuck down and adhered perfectly. So the next step to assemble this card, I'm going to use the 3-dimensional foam strips. So I recently watched a video that showed me how to use this a little easier. So what I'm going to do, I need 2 layers. So I'm just going to take one strip, line up the edges, and then press it down firmly together. And you'll have a double thickness of your foam strip tape. Now I'm just going to take the adhesive off and apply it to this around the frame of my shaker easel card. And when you take the backing off, if you're doing one layer at a time and you don't want to do the double layer, you can always do just one at a time, but it's much easier if you take the adhesive off both sides. It makes the foam adhesive more pliable. So here I'm just going to keep following around the circle. And I just need a third piece. So you'll need 3 pieces of this foam strip tape for your project today. So once again, just line up the edges, pull it tightly, and then press it down firmly together, and then you can apply it directly to your front of your card. And then just snip off the excess. For this particular shaker card, we'll be just using large snowflake die cuts. So it's not that important that all the edges line up, but you don't want, if you're using finer glitter or sequins, you don't want them to fall out. So make sure that your foam tape is butted up against each other so nothing can fall out. Now I'm going to place my snowflakes and my penguin on my background. I forgot to glue my penguin down first, so you'll see here that I will do that shortly. But I'm just going to glue a couple of snowflakes in the background just to make sure, just to give the card a little bit more interest. So you see there, I'm using the excess that I cut the frame out, and there's a circle that's left over in the center. So you don't want to throw that out. You'll just use that and make a little hill where your penguins will be standing on. Otherwise, they'll just be floating in the background. So you're just going to glue that to the bottom. Then you're going to take your penguins and arrange them how you would like on your card. Here I'm putting a lot of glue just to make sure that those penguins don't move and that my snowflakes won't creep in behind them. So again, press it down firmly, make sure everything's adhered there. I'm just going to place a few snowflakes in the background here, just to give it that interest, like I said. Because I always find that when you're doing a shaker card, you always want some in the background that don't move, some in the card that do move, and then some on the outside of the card. It just adds a little bit more interest to your shaker cards. Once you have those pressed firmly down in place, you'll take your excess snowflakes and put them on top of your penguins. I'm just pulling a few out so that I can decorate the front of my card, the outside of my card, and the base. Now you're ready to stick that window, I'm going to call it a window, in the front. So you're just going to line that up. Now that you have that sticky foam tape on there, you just line that up with the background and then press it firmly all the way around. And there you go. You have the front of your card all almost done. So the next part is the base of the snow globe. So just around a little tiny bead of glue on the bottom there, and then attach your snow globe, trying to do it straight on top of that. And press that firmly in place. We're just going to set that aside to dry. Now we're going to work on the base of our card. So for the inside of the card, I chose the same as the background paper, and this has a little strip with hearts on it. So I thought that added a little bit of cuteness to the card, since this is a birthday card. So just going to put some glue on the back of there, press it down firmly. And I'm just going to set that aside while I stamp the sentiment. So I'm just going to take my Stamping Buddy Pro here and a scrap of paper that I have, and I'm using the Woodware Craft Collection Countryside Stems stamp set for the happy birthday sentiment in there. So I really like the writing in this sentiment, so this is the one I chose. So you're just going to line that up in your Stamping Buddy, close the door to catch it, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it with my black Memento, Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And the great thing about using this Stamping Buddy Pro is that if your sentiment or image didn't transfer perfectly the first time, you can always go ahead and stamp it again like I did there, and it'll be exactly the same spot because you're using your Stamping Buddy Pro. So that's a benefit to using that. I always have trouble with my sentiments. So here I'm just going to trim everything down to fit on the base of my card. Now for my sample here, I wish I had trimmed this down a little bit more, just because in the end result when I put the red backing behind it was a little bit big. So I would go ahead and trim it down as much as you can, as close to the sentiment. Just wanted a little bit smaller. I think I left mine a little too large, but that's okay. Everything turned out in the end anyways. So I'm just going to take my sentiment here, and I'm just going to round the edges, just to give it that little bit more of a finished look. I'm also going to round the edges on the red backing of the sentiment, just so that it matches nicely. And I'm going to adhere that together, just put a little bit of glue on the back, and then glue that in place. And then on the back of the red one, I'm going to use 3D foam tape, because this is the part of the card that will help keep your easel standing upwards. So here I'm using some 3D foam tape, and I'm going to do 2 layers to make sure that it's high enough to hold the top of my card open. So I'm just going to peel the backing off and then go ahead and put another layer of the foam tape on top of that. Now if you're using a thicker foam tape, you might only need 1 layer, but this one was pretty thin for my liking, so I did go ahead and use the 2 layers to make sure that it stood up tall enough. So I'm just going to take the backing off there and then adhere it to the base of my card. So here you see it is a little bit large. I could have cut it down just a little bit more, but everything works out. And now I'm just going to randomly glue some snowflakes here and there to add more interest. Okay, so the next part of the card is to score the top of your folded piece. Now, for this card, I did 1/3 of the entire length of the circle, or I'm not sure how to say that, but 1/3 of it. So you're just going to go ahead and score that, and using your bone folder, and then fold it over and make sure you have a nice, clean, crisp fold there. And on that little folded piece there, that's where I'm going to put my adhesive. And I'm going to use the BC tape again here because I know that it's a really strong adhesive and nothing will fall off when you use this tape. So I'm just going to peel that backing off. And I'm going to align the bottom of my shaker globe, not the stand itself, but the shaker globe, to the bottom of the card. So see there how I'm not including I'm just lining up all the circles. So you just want to line that up nice and straight, as straight as you can, and there you go. And there you have it. And there is your shaker easel card. I'm just going to add a couple of snowflakes in the front. Once again, to add a little bit more interest. Feel free to add glitter or wing castella, whatever you have at home. That'll just add a little bit more interest to your card. But like I said, when I'm doing a shaker card, I really like to do the background, to have the shaker in the middle, and then do the outside of the card. I really think it just finishes it right off. It's your Penguin Shaker Easel Card. If you're interested in any of the products I used today, the link will be in the description below. Please like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment down below. Thanks again, and have a great day.